16th birthday. I'm like, hey, again, everyone paid their rent. I had some discretionary money. I'm going to take everybody to uh, steak 48. Okay. So we're finished eating. I'm taking out my family. I don't know. It's about 10 of us. The bill comes. The bill's about $1,500. So I'm like, oh, I get a call. It's a tenant. Now it's 10 o'clock at night. She like, hey, Ernie, the wall fell down. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, the wall fell down. I'm like, what do you mean the wall fell down? She's like, the wall fell down. Yeah. So I'm like, well, take a picture. Now it's nice, so she couldn't take a picture. So in the morning, my neighbor, the guy I talked about the best, he's like, yo, cuz, your wall fell down. I'm like, what are you talking about? So he sends me a picture. The front of the building fell down.
Wow.
So I'm already complaining because I took these cats out to dinner. That bill was $10,000. Insurance wouldn't cover it.
Hey, family. This is Che Willis coming back with another episode of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, we are moving, bro. We are 20 plus episodes in. We inching closer and closer to 30. When I first started this podcast, my vision was to give people information, give people hope, give people an example or many examples of how people do things, how they create wealth, how they are maybe doing life, that maybe can give you some tidbits of how to do it maybe better. Maybe if you're bumping your head up against the wall, if you're an investor, showing you that other people are going through the same things that you may be going through. I also said, I'm going to be having some of my rich friends on the podcast. So
rich in spirit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we have my man Ern White on here, gracing us with his presence today on the podcast. So thank you so much, Ern, for joining us on the podcast, man.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Absolutely. Podcast from day one. I have to tell you, they're getting better. I like the vision. I like your strategic game plan. As you said, I've kind of always given you some feedback. I think you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
My guy, man. I really appreciate that, Ern. And before we started recording, I wanted to I told you, and I wanted to tell everybody that Ern is one of the first people that when I first started and the lighting wasn't good, it just wasn't where I really wanted it to be, but I didn't know any better. And people would give me feedback, but Ern was one of the first people that told me, yo, man, you're doing a great job. Keep going. You're doing a great job. Keep going. He would, after every episode I put out, he would text me on the side like, yo, keep going. So, Ern is my guy, man. I really, really appreciate it, man. When you're starting something new and you don't know exactly what you're doing, you have somewhat of a vision. You need people like Ern that's going to give you that encouragement that see past the not so good, whatever it is. And you need people like that in your corner to give you that encouragement. So Ern, I appreciate you, bro.
But I appreciate you for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. So Ern, why don't you tell the people just a little tidbit about yourself, where you from, what you do for a living, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
So again, I'm Ern White. So again, thanks for having me on the show. So I am born and raised in Philadelphia. Born and raised in North Philly. Attended, public school there up until 9th grade. Then I moved to California. Then moved back to the East Coast for my junior and senior year. I've been in Delaware now past 18 years. I work in healthcare, so I work for a pharmaceutical company, more or less of a project manager, process improvement position. Mm-hmm. I also invest in real estate, so I've been in the real estate game for roughly about 20 years. Okay. It's one of my hacks to allow me to live the lifestyle that I want for me and my family. I also like to invest, as you talked about it. I did a little bit of cryptocurrency, so I got that from my wife. So I'm not as well versed in cryptocurrency as she is. So I have to preference that.
Yeah.
I believe the stock market as well. one of the constant conversations I have with folks, especially younger folks, or just folks in general who are looking to seek some knowledge, is that start investing early. Start investing early, because again, it just takes a little bit, but a little bit over a long period of time becomes a lot. And so you're going to make some mistakes along the way.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of hurdles along the way. But if someone was to ask me, "Hey, Ern, would you go back and do the same thing that you've done in terms of investing today?" And I would go back and say I would do more. And although there were times where I had self doubts,
Yeah.
I think there are moments and situations where I second guess myself, right, and probably wish I would have done it. But again, I'm grateful for what I have, grateful for where I am. But again, I think wealth is a journey, and again, I think there are a multitude of ways to acquire some wealth.
Yes.
So some may skin the cat front to back, others may go front to side, or back to front. But at the end of the day, I think as long as you have a game plan, I think that you're consistent, and it's never too little.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. Now, one thing that I always ask my guests, and we're gonna get back to the California part, because I had no idea that you moved out to Cali. California is one of my favorite places on earth.
Oh, brother, I love so. Listen,
I love Cali, man.
I don't know if I romanticize it, but I lived in Southern California for a couple years. If all things are equal, money, I'm living in Cali all day.
100%. Me too, bro. Me and my wife, and we taking a little side journey here, but me and my wife, I talk about it like, hey, once we retire, I would actually want to move out there. She was like, nah, maybe we can vacation out there for maybe a month or two, whatever, but we can't move out there, man. We
it's the sticky weed, the icky, the weather. It's all of those, right? So, maybe I romanticize it, but I still have fond memories of California. More importantly, the attitudes, the weather, and to see some of the wealth that they have.
For sure. Yeah, man. What I was going to say is as far as like wealth building goes, you were in Philadelphia, you were in North Philadelphia, then you moved to California. What was your relationship with money growing up? Did your parents teach you about money? And that's one of the questions I always ask, because I always want to know people who achieved a certain thing, how did they arrive at this place?
You know what, Shay? It's a funny story that you say that. So, growing up in North Philly, I wouldn't say that we were rich, we were poor. So everyone in my community, we all had the same thing. So if we were poor, I did not know that, right? So we had just as much or as little as all my neighbors.
Sure.
So I think poor is a mindset now that we have, excess money where everyone had the flyest clothes, the flyest sneakers and jewelry. No, but we had what we did have was we had what we needed, and also had a bit of what we wanted. So I wouldn't say that we were poor. I wouldn't say we were rich. I think we were poor middle class.
Okay, that's fair. That's something new. Don't try to use that, y'all.
So in terms of wealth, the only conversation I recall having with my parents about money growing up was my mother would always say, "Hey, save some money for a rainy day." So that was the extent. And again, I think she's teaching me what she knew or what her parents knew. So I wouldn't say thrown right. You only can teach what you know. The funny part, where I learned about investing, this is really probably going to trip you out. I learned about investing in a barbershop.
Wow.
The barbershop. And long story short, so one of the guys I grew up with, he was like a younger brother to me. And so, I would go back to Philly to get my hair cut once a week for 25 years, right? Then my barber, he retired. But anyway, so I remember this one particular day, one of the young kids I grew up with, though, his name's Nate Thomas. So I got to give Nate kudos for kind of getting the wheels to thinking. So he came in one day, he's like, "Yo, bro, I'm buying these properties and I'm renting these rooms." And I was like, "Yeah." Now, the arrogance of me, I'll have to say. So Nate was a guy I grew with, though. He just graduated high school. Not that he just graduated, but he was a high school graduate. And then I'm thinking, well, though, I had been to college and got a master's degree and undergrad, so I got 2 degrees. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. If he can do that, in my head, well, I'm smart. I got more education. Why am I not doing that? So in that very moment, sometimes in life, there are those aha moments where the light comes on.
Yeah.
So I get back in the car. I'm going home. And some says, call a bank. I call a bank, and again, now we're going to go back 20 years. So they were actually, pretty liberal in terms of lending money or giving money.
Sure.
I'm on a call on the way home, and I'm like, "Hey, I want to get a home equity. First of all, I didn't even know what a home equity loan, but I heard them talk about it at the barbershop. Okay. So I said, hey, home equity loan because I want to fix up my house. So it's like, okay, well, how much do you want? And I remember like yesterday, I was like, hey, I want $40,000. Now we're thinking about 20 years. So in my mind, $40,000 is a lot of money, right? And so
it's still a lot of money today, Ern. Come on.
Well, yes, it is. I'm sorry. Yes,
I'm messing with you, man. Go ahead.
So when they gave me the money, it was a really, really quick and seamless process. My first thought was that I got this money and I can't screw this money up. The reason why, because at the end of the day, if I get this money and I screw this money up, I got to pay this money back. And then at that time, I wasn't making enough money where I could afford to pay back that money and not make money on the money. So when I tell you I was diligent, focused, streamlined, when I tell they gave me $40,000, I spent exactly $39,998 on real estate. Not a pair of socks, not a pair of Jordans, not a hat, not a jersey. I did exactly that. My first rental, I realized yesterday, I bought it for $9,500, right? So I buy this house in Fishtown and Port Richmond. I'm not really understanding what I'm getting into. So I remember I paid $95 for this house, $9,500. We go into this house. I'm not really knowing what to expect. I go in this house, it had a 4-inch hole in the wall. That was it. All I had to do was I patched the hole and the house was running out from day one.
Wow.
So I did that same process 3 additional times. And I remember the realtor saying to me, she was like, listen, because I bought 4 houses in probably about 4 months. Because remember, I'm afraid I can't mess this money up because I got to at least get back $400 a month in order to pay back this loan.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, okay, if I just get one, then I'll bring in $500. No, I think my thought process, I can rent it out for $500 or $600, and if I can rent the second one out for $500 or $600, now I'm up $800-900. I could pay back the $400, and at the end of the day, my walkaway number is if I could just have $500 a month profit, I'm good. I'm golden. You got to slow down because I'm trying to take this $40,000 and I'm trying to buy everything. I'm trying to replicate the $9,500 house.
Yeah.
But so in terms of where did that come from, I have to be honest. It came from the barbershop. It would be a bold-faced lie if I told you. I remember having these conversations at the dinner table with my parents, having it, sisters, my brothers, my neighbors. It was a conversation, as we call it, the black man's. What do we call sports bar?
Okay.
The barbershop.
Yeah.
All I learned about investing, I have to be honest with you, it came from dudes in the barbershop.
Bro, that's pretty dope, man, because normally you go into the barbershop, but back then you might get DVDs or somebody selling shirts or something like that. But the game that you got from going to the barbershop is now paying huge dividends because you listened.
I listened. So also one of the things that I would also say helped me, because also I'm a military guy, I come from a military background. I was pretty diligent, right? So I'm pretty disciplined, pretty structured. So when I got I never had any other thought than investing the money for what I said I was going to invest it in. Like I said, I didn't run to King of Prussia. I didn't run to the gallery. I didn't want to go buy me some J's. I'm like, houses because I'm thinking I got a young family, I got a mortgage payment, plus now this bill, I got to be able to cover this bill. So that kind of started me in real estate. And then once I kind of got in real estate, it came like in my head, it became like Monopoly. So once I bought a few properties, they were all free and clear. So now I just leveraged those properties to take money out to buy additional properties. And so that's where the Monopoly, because we've all played Monopoly as kids growing up. And so that was the second education that I had, was the barbershop Monopoly. Now, as we continue down the path, also, like I said, I have a business MBA degree. So I understood marketing, finance, statistics, those things. But I have to tell you, in terms of real investing, it came from hands-on from the barbershop, trial and error. I blew a lot of money investing, well, not investing, but, making not the wisest investments, but those were good lessons for me because I learned from the lessons, the hands-on lessons, not the theory, not what I read in the textbook. So I did have some technical education per se, but I'll tell you the real education for me was a hands-on trial and error.
I got a bunch of questions, bro. from you not knowing how to or having an education on how to handle that large sums of money like that, I guess, coming in, because you didn't have an investment background, your parents didn't talk to you about it. So like for you to have the wherewithal to be able to know, hey, I'm going to take this money and then I'm going to double it and then I'm going to pay it down, get the properties free and clear. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people, they don't do that. They'll take the money, they'll take the profit, whatever profit they get, and it may not be much because their mortgage may be, say, $600. They may be getting $900, and then they're gonna blow the $300. And then
let's
talk about yeah.
Oh no. Oh, I blew some money.
Okay. Okay.
Money. But the money that I blew was after I paid my bills.
There you go. Okay.
I didn't take the money I was getting and blowing it because I said at the end of the day, I've always been very diligent and strict when it comes to paying bills, my bills at the end of the day, where I live, right? So, one of the things I tell my wife, I'm like, listen, one thing you have to worry about is that, hey, he's going to take our rent money or mortgage money and go down to AC. We'll go to King of Prussia. That ain't happening. So
yeah. That's cool, man. The one of the other things I wanted to ask you, since we're on this topic, is I was talking to one of my mans, Jay Small. You know him from Seeds of Greatness, Jason.
Yeah.
And we were talking about I forget what exactly we were talking about, but we were talking about the point when you're trying to achieve something, and then there comes a choking point, to the point where you can either go right or go left and be like, you know what? I knew I wanted to do this, but it's so difficult over here. I don't want to do it anymore. Did you ever face that?
So I faced that. So one of the things I did was I over leveraged myself. And so I over leveraged myself for years where now that I'm looking back. So when we talk about growth, what we want is we want controlled, sustained growth, because you're able to manage it. And so one of the huge mistakes I made back then was that I brought probably more than I could, not more than I could afford to buy, but I didn't have enough money to fix up what I brought. And so what happened, some of the properties that I brought, they actually fell down, right? They were free there, but at that point, the banks kind of tightened some of their reins or what they were giving money. And so I wasn't able to leverage money off of buildings that were free and clear because the banks were saying no. And so I was making money, but foolishly, I wasn't stashing all the money. I was making enough money to pay my bills, right? But also rest. And when I say I've made some foolish decisions, I was also blowing some of the money, right? So what I have been doing was taking some of the money and sitting the money on the side for a rainy day, right? I had to learn that. Okay. So and I'll give you an example. A few years back, I sold one of these properties I bought, right? I sold a property and had to go to the settlement table with a check.
Wow.
Right? So how do you sell a property and have to take a check? Right? Yeah. So, but I learned. Sure. And so it kind of made me, okay, we need to kind of repivot and think about what we're doing here. But again, it was a valuable lesson. And I said to myself at that moment, that'll never happen again. Because how do you sell a property that you made money that's free and clear, and you have to take a check to settlement table?
Question for you. You had other properties that were free and clear. Why did you sell that house?
Because it was starting to fall down. And when I said
you talking about literally falling down?
Well,
or it was in bad shape.
Bad shape, right? And so what it would take to rehab it, I didn't have, right? And so what I was trying to do was, let's just get this one off the books. Okay, now when it all worked itself out, at the end of the day, I had to go to the settlement table with like a $2,500 check. Again, think about that. How do you go to settlement to sell a house and got to write someone a check for $2,500? This is the caveat. So the woman who bought the house, she was a New York investor. So they came from New York City, purchased the house for, I don't know, I think I sold for $40,000. They may have put $30,000 into the house. Now that building now is worth $300,000, right? No, but you live and learn. So
Yeah,
again, I don't have any, I don't have any remorse. I could have done things differently, but that was a valuable teaching moment for me.
yeah.
So you live and learn. But like I said again, I think I would tell anyone, when it comes to investing, because I think a lot of times we can overthink, right? And I would tell folks the biggest risk that you're taking is not taking a risk at all.
I agree with that 100%. And one of my stories to anybody who's new to the podcast, your first time listening, I had bought a house. I think it was back in maybe 2012 or so. No, it was 2015. I bought a house for, I think it was like 13 grand. It was a short sale. A couple months later, went to settlement, got the house, maybe put 5 grand into it, free and clear, and boom, it's renting out.
Right.
Now, a few years later, during the pandemic, I did the same thing. And I checked in my heart to make sure that it was the right decision to make. I felt a peace about it. I went and bought the house. But what I didn't know is I'm thinking that I could rinse and repeat the same thing I did back in 2015. Same thing you did.
Sometimes.
Yes. But this time, bro, the house I paid 15,000 for it, but it now needed 40 grand worth of work.
Okay, so now you're over leveraged.
Correct. But what I was doing was I was taking profits from the houses that I had already and then fixing them up. I didn't refinance or anything like that. But the point of it is I thought that I could rinse and repeat, but I didn't necessarily count up the cost of what it was going to cost to fix the thing up to be able to rent it back out. And when I took my contractor, we actually ended up falling out, but I took him through there. He was like, yo, you bought this? I said, yeah. He was like, fam, you're going to have to spend at least 30, 40 grand to get this fixed up, right? I'm like, oh, bro. And at the time I had maybe 25 in the bank.
Right.
I was hurt. It felt like I got beat up, bro. Like, and then as we're going through the journey, the bumps and the bruises, bro, like I didn't get the house rented out for like another year and a half after me and him had a conversation.
Bro, I had properties that sat vacant for years that were free and clear.
Yeah.
But when I think of the whole totality of the situation, and I'll talk about just two of the properties that I had, right? Not knowing. So one, I paid 95, we'll say 10,000, whole number, probably worth 350, on its way to 400. And I bought another one, right? That's worth, I paid 30. It's probably worth 300 free and clear. So, but then I have other ones that I purchased for 10,000 that today are only worth 80,000, right? So you take the good with the bad, but when I think of the whole totality of it, and again, if you say, hey, Ern, would you do it again? Before you can get it out of your mouth, I would tell you yes, because those houses, that real estate, it allows me to live a comfortable lifestyle. And when I talk about investing, and this is crazy because my wife and I talk about this all the time. When I start purchasing houses, I never use the word investing. My whole thought process that when I'm 55 to 60, these houses will be paid for, one, and they would bring anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 a month. My whole thought process was thinking about the $8,000 to $10,000 a month I would bring in at 55 to 60, right? In addition to what else I bring. What I never factored into, I never factored what the house would be relative to appreciation. It never dawned on me, right? Yeah. And she was, how did you not think of that? I says, because again, no one ever sat down and said, hey, fam, listen, if you buy this house today at 10,000, in 20 years it'll be worth 100. All I was thinking about, again, we'll use the word middle class poor or poor middle class.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on my 8 to 10 I'm gonna get, right? Now again, is that wealth? No, but I was thinking, hey, if this allows me to do and move as I want, to be able to take my family where I want to go, do what I want to do without it have to being payday, I was rich, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's objective. So, and at this stage of my life, I always just wanted to be comfortable, right? Yeah. And so, like I said, I never thought about these properties now almost worth $1 million. It never dawned on me. I'm thinking about the 8,000 to 10,000.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the 800,000 to 900,000 that they're worth. So when we talk about that, just from real estate assets or just appreciation between the portfolio, it's over $1 million.
That's a big deal, bro.
But I never thought about the word investing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think me and you were very similar in that, because I was just worried about the rental income.
Yes.
Never thought about the appreciation of the house. Like that never crossed my mind, because I never thought about selling them.
Well, the same thing. Right. I never thought about selling them. All I thought was, okay, Ern, when you're 55 to 60 and you're ready to walk out the door, I'm thinking this 8 to 10,000 a month, plus my little 401k money, plus a little Social Security money, plus this. Again, in my head, I'm comfortable, i.e., ghetto wealthy. Right. I never thought, bro, you're missing a big piece of this. You're talking over $1 million in appreciation, and 95% of these homes are free and clear.
Wow. That's huge, bro. Like, and I think it took the pandemic to kind of slow me down, to look up and realize where we actually were in life, like as far as like assets and things like that, because I never really thought about it. And you looking at the news and you say, oh, well, the housing market's going up, and this is going up and that's going up. So I'm like, okay, let me look at this.
Well, so the first property when I talked about, I paid $95,000 or $10,000. It's in Port Richmond. On that block, this house is 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It's 950 square feet. On that block, the houses are now $500,000, and I'm thinking, there's no way in hell that I saw it. I bought a house in Brewery Town for $30,000. It's right off Cecil B. Moore. You know what Cecil B. Moore used to be. You looking at me? Now they got folks who don't look like us riding bikes, walking dogs, putting houses on the block that's $450,000. People call me now, hey, would you want to sell? No, I don't want to sell. I mean, nothing's for sale, but everything's for sale at the right price. And you're like, hey, give me $450,000, $500,000. You can have the house and the tenants.
Bro, that's good information, man. Just to know, because the more you talk to people, you realize how similar you guys are, and didn't even know it. And I didn't even know all this about you until just now. Yeah. So
I will have to say, again, I am fortunate.
Yeah.
Because I work in the industry and it does pay well. Right. Sure. So that is just the icing on the cake in addition to the real estate, right? But again, I tell a lot of folks what they see or perceive to have. A lot of that comes from the investing that I never thought to use the word investing. So I invested a little bit a long time ago, right? Which now becomes more over an extended period of time. So I would tell any young person, buy a house, buy a property, because my whole business or thought process is, and me and my wife, we have this conversation frequently. One of the basics that everyone needs, they need housing, they need shelter, they need clothes. Mm-hmm. And so everyone is not going to live where I live or where you live, but folks are going to live in these cities, in North Philly, West Philly, South Philly. It's home. And so I'm not here to judge where they live. All I want to know is, listen, I just want a small piece of the pie.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And I think the same thing, that everybody needs to own a piece of real estate. But if you can't handle the calls that you may get at maybe 2 a.m., 12 o'clock at night, so maybe a property manager who can handle those things. But I agree. Everybody, I'm sorry, what you going to say?
So let me give you a story. To your point. My birthday last year, it was my son's 17th, no, it's 2 years, so 16th birthday. I'm like, hey, again, everyone paid their rent. I had some discretionary money. I'm going to take everybody to steak 48. Okay. So we're finished eating. I'm taking out my family. I don't know. It's about 10 of us. The bill comes. The bill's about $1,500. So I'm like, oh, I get a call. It's a tenant. Now it's 10 o'clock at night. She like, hey, Ernie, the wall fell down. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, the wall fell down. I'm like, what do you mean the wall fell down? She's like, the wall fell down. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, take a picture. Now it's nice, so she couldn't take a picture. So in the morning, my neighbor, the guy I talk about the best, he's like, yo, cuz, your wall fell down. I'm like, what are you talking about? So he sends me a picture. The front of the building fell down.
Wow.
So I'm already complaining because I took these cats out to dinner. That bill
Yeah.
was $10,000. Insurance wouldn't cover it. So now I got to figure out how to come up with 10 grand. I got a tenant in there. If she's paying, if I don't fix this wall, the entire rest of it may fall down. So now 10 becomes 20. So to your point, if you're not willing to take the bad with the good, then you probably shouldn't do it. Or I get a call, Ernie, we got waste that's 2 feet high in the basement. The pipes broke. Now the pipes, I call a plumber, Mr. White, all your pipes are corroded. Okay, you need to give up 8 grand,
Yeah.
right? So that's once, twice, 3 times, right? I just had a situation 2 years ago. My guy James, love James to death, right? James helped me. I spent 30 grand to fix up a basement apartment. Something happened with the pipes in the basement. It burst. It ruined the entire apartment.
Yeah.
Right. So to your point is you got to have thick skin. Now I've been doing it for so long. I'm able to. Nothing really shocks me, but
Yeah.
everything shocks me.
Yeah.
But the point is, as you said, I think a lot of folks they will romanticize it. They
Yeah.
want the money. They
Yep.
don't really work. And I tell folks it doesn't really kind of work that way, right? And so if you're not willing to take the call at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're not willing to take the call when they tell you that the front of the building just fell down, if you're not willing to take the call, hey, Mr. White, we got 3 feet of waste in the basement. All your pipes are done. What are you gonna do?
What's going on, family? This is Che Willis from Wealth as a Journey podcast. I don't know if you guys know, but I help families who are living paycheck to paycheck live the life that they want to live through budgeting and investing. If this is you or you know somebody, go to wealthisajourney.com to book a free discovery call to see if we're a good fit to work with each other for either budgeting or if you're a beginner investor. Again, you can book a free discovery call to see if we're a good fit to work with each other. Again, wealthisajourney.com, wealthisajourney.com. Let's get back to the episode. So, quick story. I had a tenant. It was a hurricane. It was coming towards Delaware. I think it was, or tornado. I'm sorry. It was a tornado watch, and tenant calls me up. Hey, my basement is flooding. There's water coming up from the ground. I'm like, what do you mean water coming from the ground? I never heard that. And it was the house that I just bought. Nah, it wasn't that. The one I put the 40 grand into. So that happened. She's in there. All her stuff is wet down in the basement. And I go down there. I go there during the tornado watch. My wife's like, yo, where are you going? I'm like, yo, I gotta go. So I drive down. I drive like 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes away. I take the wet vac, getting the water up and all that stuff. And come to find out what happened is there's no French drain in the basement. So I had to get a sump pump put down there. So that was $6 grand on top of the 40 I just spent getting the house fixed up. So it's people think that the money's good. Don't get me wrong, but you have to be able to stomach those things, especially when you're new to certain situations. Because I never had to face that before,
and neither have I. Like I said again, so again, as I said, people romanticize. They want to take. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. So when I hear someone getting into it, though, I chuckle to myself. I'm like, having those situations are part of the game, and you have to go through that part of the game because that's how you learn. That's how Because I think for a lot of us, I think the growth comes from experiences, good and bad, right? And I think a lot of folks aren't willing to go through the growth or the pain. And you don't grow if you don't get any discomfort or pain. And I've been through a lot of it over the years. But again, if you ask me, okay, Ern, you're 25 years into this, right? I could sell this stuff and I could take my money and run off, but would you do it again? Yeah, I would go back again. And there's some things that I probably redo, or I would probably foolishly probably over leverage myself again because I'm thinking what this thing looks like long term, not short term. And so, again, as I said to you, it's a lot of me comfort, not rich, but just comfortable. And if I'm comfortable at this stage of my life, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think a lot of it comes, and I talk about it on this podcast very, very often about social media. As much as I love social media or I enjoy sometimes being on there, I hate social media just for what it does to people who don't know any better.
It's misleading. It's misleading.
So you people on there, the gurus about the properties, and they see all the glitz and the glam, and they see all the good things that come out of it, but they don't know about those phone calls. They don't know about the basement flooding. They don't know about the 2 feet of waste in the.
They don't know about the $10,000 front of the building just fell.
That's what I'm saying. So in order for you to achieve anything, you're going to have to go through some growing pains. It's a must. You have to. But if you only see this person with the glitz and the glam and riding in the Rolls Royce and the Wraith and the this and the that, but they don't know about the things that they had went through to go through those things, or if they even own the thing.
So it's funny because I just had this conversation today with my cousin, and I had a cookout, right? He was like, "Hey, cuz, I want to have a conversation with you because I want to go ahead and get some real estate." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." So I said, "Okay, well, what's your plan?" "Well, I just want to get an LLC and I want to go get some money from the bank." I'm like, "Oh, time out. I says, "What's your credit score?" See. I'm like, "We'll tell you what we do. How about we fix our credit first? Let's get our credit above 710 and then come back and then we'll have another conversation on what you should do next." Yeah. But with a credit score of 610, it's
You're like, cuz I want to get an LLC, I want to get a house. Like, what's your credit score? It's 6. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, that's not happening.
I mean, well, I'm at the Tesla dealership, and all I got is I got a credit score of 600. What should I get? A cup of coffee and get out them folks away.
Bruh, that's the way it be, man. But it's like I said, man, it's good to go through the bumps and the bruises because first of all, it builds character, and then also it teaches you the lessons that you need to learn to make it somewhere, man. And then if you can persevere and go through that thing, then what else can you achieve that you actually want? You know what I'm saying? And I actually now welcome, even though they're not comfortable, they don't feel good at the time, but welcome the bad times because it helps you to know more about yourself, to learn about yourself, and helps you to be stronger, to be a stronger person.
And I'll have to piggyback off what you said. The bad situations don't freak me out because I've been doing it for a long time. I've seen better, bad, worse. Now I'm not advocating I need to see worse and worse, but I don't panic when things don't go awry. I sit back, I pause, formulate a plan. If I don't know what to do, I kind of sit still, or I seek wise counsel, right? Because I know wise brothers who have done some things well in their life, and it doesn't really have to be about real estate. Just I know some wise guys just in business, and so I'm able to kind of tap into my network of folks who I think have done well in business, or I kind of respect or look up to, and I kind of run situation scenarios by them. What would you do in a situation? And so that's where the real growth for me has come in, right? As I've aged and kind of expanding my network of people and friends, you folks in the Seeds of Greatness, which is a lot of great, sharp, great guys that I could tap into. And so, yeah, like I said, so to your point, I don't freak out when things don't go right.
So yeah. My question is, and I love, well, first of all, if you don't know anything about this podcast, I love to talk about investments. I love to talk about money, not just to talk about it and, oh, look at me, but what can I learn from you that can help improve my life? Or what can you teach somebody else who may be listening, watching this podcast that can help them? So you went through all the bumps and the bruises about not having enough money to fix X thing, whatever it was, the wall.
Or leverage myself. Yeah.
So what are you doing now to make sure that that doesn't happen as far as saving money or putting money to the side? Or are you doing anything different now?
So I'm doing a few things differently.
Okay.
So I've reinvested some money in all of the units, right? So now that they're not 100% where I would like, but they're a lot better off than they were if we go back several years. So I have less incidents of things falling down.
Sure.
And so you take a portion of the money, I set it aside, right? Every month, hey, okay, I set it aside for repairs or for emergency things in that situation. Um, I'm a little bit more mindful in terms of what I spend money on, right? And always thinking about the rainy day. Because with these properties, they're in Philadelphia, they're old buildings. It is what it is, right? They require a tremendous amount of attention and sometimes resources. And so I'm cognizant to make sure that I put some monies away for a rainy day for each and every one of the properties. That's probably the biggest thing that I've done. And also, more importantly, I don't take as many shortcuts. Where in the past, I would hire a handyman, but sometimes the handyman is trying to put a band-aid on a gunshot wound. Right?
Facts.
So I've learned that pay the electrician, pay the contractor, and not pay your homeboy who is the jack of all trades and master of none. Pay the roofer. And so that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned, that sometimes you get what you pay for.
For sure. For sure. So I'm going somewhere with this. The money that you invest in stocks, the money that you invest in, say, crypto, is that your money or is that money that comes from the investments?
All the above. All
okay.
the above.
Okay. Cool.
Like a crypto, and I have to take, because I remember we had this initial conversation sometimes last year when the crypto market was crazy, right? I think sometimes with investors, I think I am really, really guilty of this. Being greedy.
Oh yeah.
Right. So when I could have took some of my profits and ran, I'm waiting. It's going to hit this. It's going to hit that. And so I learned a lot about myself in terms of investing. And sometimes, as we said, for me, it's okay to take a little bit over a long period of time, then try to take a lot in a short period of time. So from investing, I just believe, like, we look at the crypto market, it's really, really down. Matter of fact, talk about the crypto market today. So I was looking at Bitcoin. So it's trading right about 25,000. At its peak a year and a half ago, it's about $67,000, right? So what I did today, I was like, I'm just kind of looking at my balance and it's down. I was like, well, I'll take $125 and I'll buy, a point of Bitcoin, right? Now, $125 is not a lot of money. Well, to some folks it is, so let me just clarify. But if I every payday, I take $125 and I buy some, it's not really a huge amount of money, but if I do that over a long period of time, it becomes, more money. And if it goes back to this now, we're thinking, so I'm buying it at 25, 26,000. If it goes to 40,000, we have a stop, take our money and run. Versus, I know it's going to get to 50, 60 now. So I've learned a lot about myself from there.
Bro, I want to cut you off here, man, because I don't want that to go over people's heads. Like what you just said is a bar in itself, because I think people think that, I'm first of all, I have $125. That's too little. That's not enough to do it. But if you do 125 over time consistently,
yes,
you're gonna have thousands of dollars later on, and investing is a long game.
Well, that's the dollar cost average, right? I've learned, right? So I've learned to have a conversation with folks. I've learned that from, my wife, because she's been a crypto adopter in her early stages. So you learn. And like I said, again, now we know the stock market's down, and it's funny because her and I were having a conversation, and she was like, well, I'm not really quite sure if I would invest more money into a 401k. And I'm like, well, we can agree to disagree, because in these 401ks is that, so now you're buying stocks also at a reduced cost, right? So you're looking at the stocks are down, which is one way. But what a lot of wealthy people do is they do what? They buy when it's down and they sell when it's high. So again, just a different business model. When you say no, I say yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I went through that last year, bro, and I'll let you know my investment strategy. Not that you asked, but I'm gonna tell you.
Oh.
So my investment strategy is the real estate, the money from the real estate does not exist.
Sure.
To me.
Sure.
Because at this point in time, I don't need it. So my regular income from my job, my wife's income from her job, all that takes care of our house and everything. So the money that we get from real estate does not exist. So that gets reinvested back into the stock market. Before it's just going into the bank.
Sure.
But well, now it's not going to like you're not getting anything from the bank. So now I need to put it into the stock market. But what I'm going to say is I was getting my head kicked in last year around this time because I was buying a lot of stocks and they just kept going down every time I bought. So I bought Tesla. I bought it at 300 and then it would drop down to 250 and then it would drop down to 200 and it would keep. I'm like, yo, what is going on right now? So I'm like, okay, well, I can stop buying, or if I believe in X company, whatever that company is, I can buy more. So
it was selling for $900 a year and a half ago.
But that's what I'm saying. So people get discouraged. I'm telling the story to say that people get discouraged when their investments or things that they're investing in goes down.
Well, but again, so when we if we just take that theory, that lead, when we look at the stock market, we look at 401ks. Right, they are down now, but we know historically those things give anywhere from a 5 to 8 to 9% return, right? And so you take 5 to 8% return compounded over 5, 10, 7 years, it becomes something. If you're just looking at it short term, it could freak you out, right? And so I tell a lot of folks, just invest it. You don't miss what you don't see. But like as I said to you, I think the biggest investment is trying to outthink the market, one, and thinking that it's too little, right? And so I tell folks, it's never too little, right? Because like I said, a little bit of money over a long period of time becomes a lot of money. But again, I think the biggest risk that people take is not taking a risk at all, right? Overthinking, right? And so I would tell folks, invest your money, invest it in something, right?
Something that you believe in, maybe something that you're currently buying, something that, you know, I tell people that if the company's innovative, if like for me, I like Tesla. Everybody doesn't like Tesla. I own a Tesla. You own a Tesla. I know the people who own Teslas. They say they're great cars. I drove one myself, and I was hooked. Test drove one. I'm like, all right, cool. I need one of these. I know that that's the future, right? In my heart, I know that that's the future. So, all right, cool. I'm gonna invest in this company, Amazon, or I'm just throwing companies out there. But if you believe in a company, whether it's up or down, now if the CEO did something crazy or something like that, then that's different. But what I'm saying is it's first of all, it's never too little, like you said. And if you believe in a company and you believe that in what they're doing, and you look at, you know, charts and different things of that nature, you familiarize yourself with that stuff. But it's never too little, and if you believe in it, buy it.
Well, you know, though, that I would tell folks, go buy something that you know everyone needs. Housing.
Correct. There you go.
Everyone needs housing.
Me and my boy Quan, me and him had a couple conversations, and a couple other guys as well, and they invest in stock market. Like they were him and the group that I'm in. We have a text chain of guys, and they talk about real estate and stocks. So one time we were talking about, hey, well, this is the reason why, because something went wrong in the house, and investing in the stock market is way better than investing in real estate. And I'm like, hey, hold on, wait. Say you own a property free and clear, and just like a stock, you buy shares of stock and you get a dividend once a quarter, or however often they give the dividends out. But you have real estate and you're pulling a dividend out every month. And you get to do with it whatever you want. And you if you have repairs and stuff like that, you got to do with the house, you can write that off. However you see fit, tax time, all that's fam. Like real estate to me is the greatest investment to me.
life. And I tell folks, so I can also speak to that because I can speak from experience. I'm not telling you from theory. I can tell you I bought a house 25 years ago for $10,000. It's worth now $400,000.
Bro, you can't beat that, man.
I bought a house for $10,000. It's worth $100,000. So now is a $90,000 appreciation. You didn't take into account the dividends I've gotten every month for 20 years. And so when you break it down that way, you're like, that does make sense. But to your point, most folks are fearful of the wall fell down.
Yeah.
Or the tank went out. I can't put the tenants out. I got a tenant now that I've been trying to bid for a year. I probably lost 10 grand. Right? I don't really go crazy in it because it'll be at the end of the day, it's going to be okay because the revenue I just lost from the 1 year, I ain't told you about the 15 years that I was up.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So you average it out, and like I said, but again, it all depends on what you're built for.
Yeah.
And like I said, if there's the one thing I can always say again is that the biggest risk is not taking a risk.
I agree, man. And I think people need to first of all plan, like you were talking to your cousin. You got to have a plan because there's going to be those times when things are going to go wrong. And because you have a solid plan, you can stick to something. It gives you a roadmap, a game plan on how to move, even if things do come up. Okay, well, I got to stay focused on the plan. I got to stay focused on that. And that's going to help guide you and lead you when things do go wrong. Because something's going to happen. We just don't know.
The house that we live in. You got to put money into the house that we live in.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
We're not dividends out of that. Outside of the intrinsic value, but you got to put money into the house that you live in. And so, what think that you would have put money into a house that you're investing in? So it's the same. It's the same concept. It's just a shift of the mind. And like I just said, my big thing is I think everyone needs to figure out in life. You got to figure out how to generate money outside of your regular 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if that's selling waters. I don't care if that's rental properties. I don't care if that's selling hot dogs at the baseball game or football game. In order to acquire some wealth, you have to figure out how to generate money outside of your 9 to 5. Well, how do you make?
I think you said something important, man. Like coming up with something, an investment plan for something that people need. If you're helping somebody out with a need and your customer service is good, you take care of the things that you need to take care of, so forth and so on, then you're going to be in demand.
I rent out rooms. Some people say, well, why would you in the world deal with that patient, that client type?
I would be one of those people, so please break it down.
And I'll tell you why. Unfortunately, right, some folks are not in the position that you and I are in, right, but they still have housing. So a lot of my tenants, they get SSI checks. They get $800. So obviously it's not enough to buy a house, right, because they couldn't afford the house or whatever. But they still need some place to live. So what I did, I came up with a solution. You get $800. Tell you what, give me 5 of the 800, and you can live here. Now I have one unit that's 7 bedrooms. Okay, so now simple math, right? Give me 7 times 5 is $3,500 a month. Now they had a problem. I came up with a solution.
Yeah.
You get 8. I don't want all 800. I just want 500. Give me 5 of the 8. You can live here now. 5 times 7 is 35.
Bro, tell me about, because my and I don't want to say this, but my fear of doing it, because somebody brought that up to me before, is that one person doesn't get along with the next person that's living in the next room over. They might be loud, or like, how do you deal with that?
So again, when we talk about experiences, right?
Yes.
And so I have to be careful how I word this.
Okay.
In that patient population or that client population, they have to be a tad older.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense.
They may cut a fool, but they tired by 9 o'clock. At 30, you cut a fool, or you up all night.
Yeah.
I only deal with folks who are tad older. They're gonna get tired, and they're gonna go to bed. And that's so you laugh, right?
Jeez, bro, that's good. That's good, man. I got this. This has been an awesome.
Think about this from a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
Okay. 500 times 7 times 12 times 15 years. Now, you ain't got to be a mathematician, but in your head,
whole lot
you
of
think
that's a whole lot. Yeah, that's a whole lot of money, bro. Bro, this has been an awesome conversation. I got a serious question for you that I think a lot of us deal with that achieve any type of level of perceived success or success, whatever. Success is subjective. But how do you deal, or have you dealt with survivor's remorse? Meaning, I don't know if you know what that is, but everybody might not know what that is. But like, you made some
clarify what that is.
What? Okay, so you made it to a certain level. You live in a nice house, and then you came from North Philly. So when you go back to North Philly, some of your old friends might still be there. Do you?
No, I don't. No, I'll tell you why.
Okay,
because it's not one. Because me and my wife, we have this conversation a lot. Nothing that I have has been given to me. And so when people say, well, you have good luck, and I don't necessarily believe in luck. What I believe, luck is a byproduct of hard work and opportunity. If you work hard, you create opportunity. Opportunity creates perceived luck. So there's nothing that I don't have that I didn't work hard for. I work hard for my undergrad degree. I worked hard for my graduate degree. I worked hard for the real estate. I worked hard for my family. I work hard for my job. No. Luck to me, Shay, is if I go to the corner store, I buy a Powerball ticket and I win the Powerball. That's luck.
Yeah.
Anything else is, no, I work hard for it. You can't skip steps. You have to work hard. Sure. I think one of the issues that, some of the conversations I have with, my son and some of his friends or my daughter, right, is that some younger folks or Generation Y or Z, they want to skip steps. They want to fast pass to the line. Mm-hmm. You don't get
that's social media, bro.
Like, you don't get a fast pass. And so, to your original question, when I go back to my neighborhood, now again, I don't go back and I don't flaunt, I got this, I got, no, I don't do that, right? I don't do that. But your question was, do I feel bad? No, because we don't talk about the wall that fell down, that burst. We don't talk about tenants not paying rent, tenants trying to sue me, cats trying to rob me several times.
Wow.
They don't see that.
Wow. Yeah.
So, no, I don't have remorse. What I do is if there's some encouraging words that I can give you to help you along your journey, let's sit down, let's have that conversation. Right. So that's my opportunity to kind of give back.
That's good, bro. And I think not just friends, but sometimes family. Like, you might feel like even if your family might see that you up and they might not be up at the time. And then they come to you and they say, yo, I need XYZ. And you might have to tell them no, because you know that maybe their decision making might not be the greatest. And
so
people know.
So I also believe that much is given, much has to be given away. So I don't have a problem helping and giving. Now, we all have this own intrinsic internal game barometer to know if a cat is running a game on me. So if I give to you, I give to you out of love, and I give to you out of respect, and hopefully you do what you say that you're going to do. So if I give, once I give it, I gave it because I trusted you. I gave it to you in faith. What you do is on you, right? Now, you don't get to continue to come back from the same well. No, you don't get to do that. Yeah. But again, I think as I've gotten older, um, the power of giving back. Yeah. And I think the blessings, right? Like I said, I'm not wealthy. We do okay for ourselves, but I think the more you give, the more comes back.
I agree 100%, bro. I agree. Ern,
Yes, sir.
this has been this has been a very, very good conversation. I got mad questions that I wrote down that we didn't even get to because the conversation was so good, bro. The conversation was amazing, man, and I learned a lot of different little tidbits of what's possible. Like you gave me game on the renting of the rooms. I heard about it before. I thought about it. Somebody, matter of fact, there was a
it is a headache. It could be.
Yeah. It's possible, but the thing is that now that you shed more light, and I know that you do that, now you can be a resource for me and say, "Hey, Ern, I think I got this opportunity over here. What do you think about it based on what you went through?"
So one of the things, actually, I just kind of shared this with Mark and a couple of the folks on Jamari too, is that I've also kind of got to the space of corporate housing. That's the real hack.
Mm.
I had a unit that I turned into a corporate housing.
Oh,
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't do it. They vet the people, they find the people, they put them in. I do nothing. I get a check wired. Right.
Man.
So when people say that's lucky, no, that's hard work meets opportunity divided by networking.
Correct. Absolutely. And one thing that I'm a major proponent of at this point in time in my life. I said it on the episode before that I thought before that I could do it all by myself.
Oh, absolutely not.
But I'm being young and probably some pride and just being ignorant. But the older, huh?
We need a village.
It does, but I didn't know that because I'm thinking, all right, well,
village is the one thing, and I think this is a word that we hear in other cultures, but we don't hear in our cultures much. And again, so mind you, I'm 56, right? Bro, at 56, I would love for someone to mentor me and me to mentor someone else, right? Because when we hear the word mentor, because we're men, it's our ego. Bro, I don't know everything. Right? You teach me and help me not step on this landmine, and I could teach you, Shay, to not step on this broken bottle, and you can teach Shay someone not to step on this broken pencil. Yeah.
Bruh, I'm gonna close this thing out, man. This has been amazing, bruh. I'm definitely gonna have you back on here. Where what's my last question for you is what's next for Ern? From an investment standpoint, are you still buying real estate? Are you investing in what are you investing in next?
So never say never. If I am to invest, I'm looking to diversify the portfolio. What I would like to buy is something of a multi-unit apartment complex. And so when I say that, to your point, is that we can't do it all. So when I think of those things, I'm looking into partnerships, or I'm looking into collaborations, right? Because I want to buy something on a pretty large scale. So when you're saying maybe a 20, a 30, a 40 unit building, why? By me partner, it minimizes my risk, it minimizes everyone's risk, but we're able to pool more money collectively than we are maybe individually. And so never say never. I'm always looking to diversify. It doesn't have to be in real estate. It could be in a laundromat. It could be in a car wash. At the end of the day, we're just trying to diversify the portfolio because as one goes up, one goes down. At the end of the day, they all, grow slowly over a long period of time.
Yeah. Hey, man, somebody said to me before, the fastest way to get rich is slow.
Right. Which is true. So remember, luck. Shay, you go down here, you buy a Powerball ticket, you hit it. That's luck. Everything else is a byproduct of hard work, and hard work meets opportunity divided by collaboration, divided by mentorship, divided by having conversations.
This has been dope, bro. Well, where can people follow you on social media to maybe maybe somebody might want to reach out to you to get the mentorship or anything like that. Are you on social media? And if so, what?
EP Ern, EPERN 3124. That's on Instagram, and on Facebook I'm Ern White. ERN.
Get my joint. I forget my joint too, bro.
I have to tell you, I have to get better on Twitter. I find Twitter a little more complicated to navigate for me, but I know it's the future. So I'm on Twitter as well too.
My guy, man. Well, Ern, thank you so much for your time, bro. Thank you so much for the nuggets, man. I appreciate it, man. More than you know.
Yes. So I look forward to the next time. Again, I'm here. Hopefully I've said something to inspire someone to start investing. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. If you got nothing from this episode, you got to know, start early and every little bit helps. It's go time, guys. We got to get to it, man. We got families we got to take care of. We got ourselves to take care of. We got our future self that we got to take care of, man. Wealth is a journey, man. It's a journey. It's not quick. It's a journey.
And I'm one of your biggest supporters, bro. Keep doing your thing,
man. Thank you so much, Ern.